Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Once again, we will be exploring true horror stories taken directly from various Reddit pages. For those who are new to the channel, I will be adding software to my voice to make it sound a little scarier, so don't be confused when I sound a little different. Also, this video will be a compilation of all the stories told on my channel this week, since some of you seem to enjoy longer form videos. If you guys enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe, it really does help the channel grow. Without further ado, let's get started.
My family is dead and the police think I did it. My family is gone. They were taken from me right before my eyes, ripped away like skin off my back. They're dead. My wife and daughter are dead, and the police think it's my fault. Like I would ever do something so horrible. I loved them. With all of my heart, I loved my family. How dare those idiots at the police station accuse me of such a horrible... I thought I heard a noise just now, as I'm typing this out. Like someone was just outside my shitty little motel room looking for me. He's still out there. The man that killed my family. The man that framed me. I think he's saving me for last. He's close. I can feel it. He took everything from me, but no one will believe me. You'll believe me, won't you? I'll tell you what happened. I just need someone to believe me. Before it happened, we weren't doing great. You know those usual familial fights? How the house can feel tense when disagreements happen? Well, the latest one was about a school field trip. She wanted $60 to go to some museum or something, but money was tight. I'd been killing myself on overtime for over a year now just to keep us afloat, but we were drowning anyways. Bills, groceries, clothes, insurance, car payments, the mortgage. God, it was just all too much. Well, anyways, I told her we can't afford to send her, but my wife insisted we could spare $60, so I had to be the bad guy. I told her we couldn't, and that was final. After that, I was getting the cold shoulder from both of them. So, when I came home that evening after another 12-hour shift, I wasn't surprised to receive another sad excuse for a welcome home. My daughter sat in the living room, doing homework on our coffee table. She had folders and papers strewn about. Her backpack sat open on my chair. She didn't acknowledge me when I walked in. My wife noticed me at least. From past our living room in the kitchen, she gave me a lukewarm, "Hello, how was work?" I walked past my daughter and kissed my wife in the kitchen. I felt disappointed. She kissed me dispassionately, like she didn't even want to kiss me in the first place. "Long," I replied, taking off my steel toes. "How's dinner coming?" "It's going all right. I'm working with what I have. Did you go to the store on your way home?" That was her first little jab of the night. Lately, she loved to needle me. She would tell me about her discontentment in passing. Discontentment about not having all the food she wants, or about how small the new house was, or about how we haven't had a date in over a year. I knew it. I knew she felt neglected and discontent. Just another thing going wrong that I wasn't fixing fast enough for her. No, dear. I was too tired to go to the grocery. Well then, it's soup again tonight. I don't have ingredients to make much else. There was so much more behind those words. More than I could put on a page. She knew I hated the soup we got from the food pantry. She knew I hated to go to the food pantry at all. She was saying that I failed. I failed to provide my family with dinner, and now we have to rely on strangers for help. And because I failed to provide, I should be punished with food I hated. I'm sorry, I was at work all day. Well, I don't have a car to take to the grocery. You have the only car, so you have to be the one to go to the store. I don't want to make soup again, honey. That honey stung. It was a sweet shot filled with poison. Another jab. Anger swelled in me. I already knew that I was the one that had to go to the store. That I had our only car. That I fucked it up. But she just had to twist that knife a little deeper. Even after all that I provide for them, she still had the nerve to be ungrateful. To tell me I'm not doing enough. I was about to tell her off. Tell her that she needs to have some patience and that I'm her husband and I deserve respect. But my thoughts were interrupted by a loud banging sound outside. My wife and daughter stopped and stared at the back door with wide, fearful eyes. They were deer in headlights, waiting for a car to crash through our house. When nothing came, they slowly went back to how they were. She continued to stir her soup. My daughter went back to her homework, and I just sat at the dining room table. I took a breath and tried to calm down. I was too exhausted to have another fight. Wordlessly, I went to go sit in the living room. My daughter still didn't greet me. She wouldn't acknowledge me at all. But she knew I was there. I could tell. She was tense, nervous. She acted like a bomb just sat right beside her. "Hey, kiddo." "Hi, Dad," she said quietly, as if anything louder might make me explode. "What you working on?" I asked with as much enthusiasm I could muster, hoping she would match it. "Schoolwork," she replied, dryly. She was a whole other issue. She had gone quiet a while back, disconnected herself. Gone were the days of Daddy's little girl. Now she was a stranger who was afraid of me. I guess that's what happens when you're the bad guy too many times. "Can you give me more than a couple words, sweetheart? I missed you at work today, and I'd love to talk to you." She was frozen, afraid to look up, afraid to look at me. "Kiddo, I'm your dad. I just want to talk to you. I want to hear about school, or your hobbies, or your friends. Just anything. Please?" She was fighting back tears. "May I go to my room?" she squeaked out in a near whisper. "Why?" I asked, dropping my enthusiasm. "Why can't you just talk to your old man? I'm your dad." "She's had a long day and has a lot of homework. Just let her go to her room," my wife interrupted. "Oh, so you get to know about her day. But I don't. I'm not asking for much. I just want to talk to my daughter. Why won't you talk to me?" Another noise shook the house, much louder than the first. My daughter began to cry. My wife let out a yelp. I started to swear to myself as I went outside to figure out what all the noise was about. When I came outside, I found a man standing by our trash bins. Garbage covered the driveway, apparently thrown around by the man. He was dressed like a factory worker. He wore a Carhartt shirt, jeans, and steel toe boots. The outfit looked like it could have been one of mine. He stood facing away from me. His hands were bloodied and swollen, like he just got through punching something. "It's not right, you know," he said to me, still facing away. "Who the hell are you? Get the hell off my property." He ignored me. "It's not right, the way they treat you." "What the hell are you talking about? You're a hard-working man. You're an honest man. You work your ass off to give them a place to sleep. You buy them food to eat, and they don't even care. They aren't even grateful. So what the hell are you even doing this for?" "Because I love them," I answered. "But do they love you? Do they even like you? Do they even know you anymore? They don't treat you like a husband or a father. They use you. They take everything you give them without a second thought and then stick their hands out and ask for more. And what do you get in return? Passive aggression and one-word answers. You give away all of your love and you get none in return. That's not true. Fuck you, man. You don't know what you're talking about. They love me. We're just in a rough spot right now, that's all," I told him. My heart was beating out of my chest, threatening to burst with anger at the nerve of the stranger. But somewhere, deep down, I felt he was right. I did feel used, unappreciated, empty. You're lying to yourself. You're letting yourself be deceived by them. She doesn't love you anymore. She thinks you're weak, worthless. She asks for too much. How much are you expected to give her? You've given all you have and it isn't enough. You're not enough for her. Hers is a special kind of cruelty. Does it make your blood boil that parasite leeches off of you without a care for her host? And your daughter. How endlessly frustrating. How much effort does it take? How much can you try when she won't even look at you? She's scared of you, and for what? Trying to be a loving father, trying to talk to his daughter. How many times do you have to roll that boulder up the hill before you realize that she doesn't love you either? They hate you. They're killing you. They pile the world onto your shoulders, and hate that you fall under the weight. They deserve to know how much you hurt. He turned to me and I saw his face. He looked like a tired man, stretched too thin. Dark circles hung under his eyes. His hair was oily and unwashed. His mouth was dry with cracked lips. Every feature on his face was twisted in disgust, hatred, rage. His breathing was heavy. His hands shook with adrenaline. His eyes locked onto mine and I realized two things. He looked exactly like me and he was holding one of our kitchen knives. I became stuck, completely unable to move. My doppelganger seemed to know this. He paid me no mind as he walked past me. I tried to run. I tried to move at all, but nothing happened. I was a passenger in my own body, with no control. He turned me, so I was facing my house. I was forced to stand there and watch it all unfold through the windows. I saw him stomp up to my door and let himself inside, slamming the door back shut. I heard the man rampage through my house. He slammed the soup off the stove, letting the giant pot clatter loudly into the wall. My wife screamed my name. I struggled for control again, but I had none. I heard my own voice scream out in anger before my wife was stabbed. The sound of steel on bone pierced my ears. I saw her eyes. She gurgled in pain as her lungs filled with blood. I heard her ribs snap. All the while, a voice like mine screamed incomprehensibly in a rage about love and patience and kindness. I heard my daughter crying. I knew she was as frozen as I was, powerless to stop what came next. "Why won't you just talk to me?" My voice came from inside my house, muffled through the walls. She suffered the same fate as her mother. I was still frozen as the back door opened. He walked leisurely over to me. Blood spattered his shirt. It wicketed wildly, rolling off the hydrophobic fabric and dripped onto the pavement. His arms were buried in raised scratch marks, defensive wounds from my wife fighting back. His steel toe boots were drenched in gore. It's just too much. I can't remember anymore. With a sardonic smile, he got up close. I was powerless to stop him as he scratched my arms and rubbed my family's blood onto my hands. He put his clothes on me and mine on him. They were soaking wet and I began to shiver. He put the knife in my paralyzed hand before stepping back and admiring his handiwork. Satisfied, he flashed me a quick red smile, and then he was gone. When I regained control, I got in my car and ran away. He took them from me and I can't do anything about it. If the police find me, it's over. I'm done. They think I did that to them. I didn't. I couldn't. Everyone has bad thoughts sometimes, but that's not evidence. That's not real. I'm not capable of that. But those fucking idiots won't listen to me. It's not fair. I don't deserve this. I'm a good husband. I'm a good father. If I could just... Someone is banging loudly on my door. My partner suspected a cover-up in a murder case. His death proved it. Brant's a decent kid. Young, eager, the kind who still irons his tie. He's joined recently, which is why I assign him the smaller, easy cases. Natural deaths and vehicle accidents mostly. Open and shut cases. Today, he's pacing my office, eyes wild, insisting 7 natural deaths over 6 months are murders. All connected, apparently. I've dealt with rookies before. New detectives, overly ambitious, tend to chase ghosts. But this was rather serious. Brant was accusing an old, well-known chemist, which could get me in trouble. I had to talk some sense into him. 7 victims, respiratory failure, stroke, heart attack, natural causes, Brant. He slapped a file on my desk. They were all former students of Miller Wren, the chemistry professor and researcher. 6 years ago, these students brought Wren's plagiarism scandal to the public light, leading to his resignation as a professor. You're telling me someone figured out how to kill people and make it look like a stroke? Or a heart attack? Come on, Brant. You're reaching. But, sir, you've got the motive, Brant. Give me the method. I lean back in my seat and sigh. This is where he will get stuck. Each victim received a luxury perfume bottle days before they died. Different brands, no fingerprints. But here's the thing. He tapped a photo of a sleek glass bottle. All of them were only 3/4 filled, sealed airtight. I tapped my foot impatiently. And? Imagine this, sir, Brandt said, leaning in. You're gifted a perfume bottle. What's the first thing you'd do? Open the seal. Maybe smell it at the opening. Oh, Brandt nodded slowly. Exactly. That quarter-empty space isn't air, it's gas. Odorless, undetectable, designed to trigger delayed reactions, hours, days later. Mimic natural causes. I paused, processing his words. Forensics found nothing in the victim's systems. He hesitated. We tested the bottles. Nothing came up. No toxins, no poisons. But that's the point. It's something new. Wren's a chemist. He could have engineered it to break down post-mortem, leave no trace. The natural deaths. I believe the gas targets the nervous system, triggers vasospasms, arrhythmias. By the time it kills, the evidence is gone. Hell of a story, Brandt. It's not a story, sir. Without evidence, that's what it is. The pattern's there. Patterns aren't proofs. I stood, grabbed the water pitcher by the window. You're spiraling. Here, calm down. He took the glass, gulped it dry. I'm not crazy, sir. Wren's smart enough to pull this off. I nodded. All right. Let's say I believe you. What's the next move? How do we prove it? Before he could answer, he froze. He clutched his chest, his face twisting in pain. His left arm went limp, and he collapsed. Brandt! I knelt beside him, feigning panic. Brandt! Brandt! God damn it. I should have turned the cameras off. Now I have to act all panicked. Something that is almost exactly water but kills. Definitely do not want to be on that man's bad side. Damn. Wren better pay me extra for this. When crazy? This is on my burner ACCBC. I don't want anybody to know. It was me. So this all started 1.5 years ago when I started seeing people everywhere. You probably think that's normal, but I mean everywhere. In my house. But one thing was more off than all of this really is. They all wore green coats, and it wasn't constant whenever I saw one. A few minutes later, I would blink, and about 2 to 5 hours have passed. Eventually, it stopped. Until today, I was on a hike, and it was hot, and I was talking to my girlfriend, and then I saw a group of people in green coats at the end of a cliff, just staring at me. I asked my girlfriend if she saw them, and before I could get an answer, I blinked and was home. And when I asked my girlfriend, she said I was really quite for the rest of the hike. So that all led up to me typing this. I messaged my friend who is a doctor, and he says, I might have a timer, but what do you think? Unsolved Murder from 1984. Hello everyone, I hope it is okay to post this here. I have been researching a murder that happened here in Baltimore City, Maryland around August or September 1984. I had an uncle that was murdered, shot 6 times, while he was at work. I believe the company was called Moldcraft. His name was James A. Rowe. My family always suspected police involvement. My grandparents tried to reach out to detectives at the time, America's Most Wanted, and they had numerous visits from Baltimore City Police to let the case go. It was suspected that my uncle may have been dating an ex of a cop. That cop's last name was Compton. I do not have the first name. I started this journey by looking up death records and was able to find his recorded death being September 9th, 1984. He was 26 at the time. I applied to order the death certificate to have a copy, and I have been trying to go back to newspaper archives with no luck, as everything costs money. I tried the Enoch Pratt Library online, and they only go back to 2000. I am trying to get as much info about it going forward. I want to contact state police and federal, but I honestly have no idea how to go about that. Also, I want to find some articles, if any, on the shooting. My grandfather did have a clipping of his obituary from the newspaper, so I'm also looking for that. My mother is the only one cooperative, but a lot of details have been lost to time and memory. I was only 1 when he died. I didn't know him, but my grandparents went to their graves with no answers. I would like to get some answers if I can, to get some closure, if just for my remaining family and myself. I really lack some knowledge on the means to obtain some information to present to authorities, but I am trying to gather what I can. I was wondering if anyone had any advice or ways to go about getting info, such as newspaper articles. I can provide as much info as needed. I would appreciate even just a bit to get started. This is a lot for me to jump on a subreddit and ask for help, but I just want to do something good for such a terrible tragedy that has affected my family for so long. Thank you in advance. He left his skin behind like an empty suit. I think I finally understand why. Capsule. While in a cramped internet cafe capsule in Tokyo, I heard strange, wet noises from the booth beside mine. A slick, slithering sound, followed by something peeling, tearing, like a wet glove being turned inside out. I cranked up the volume on Tentacle Prison 4. The Warden's Revenge, to drown it out. The sound design was high-budget depravity, squelching, slapping, exaggerated high-pitched gasps. But at least it was expected. The reality on the other side of the thin capsule wall was not. I didn't sleep much. The noises stopped around 4 a.m. Silence settled in, sticky and unnatural. By morning, the cafe's cleanup crew had gathered around capsule number 17, whispering in fast-clipped Japanese. The air reeked, salt, iron, something faintly acidic. As I squeezed past, my gaze flicked inside. A man's skin lay on the mattress, neatly folded, completely intact, like a discarded suit. But his body was gone. Something in me buckled. A small, primal part of my brain refused to accept what I was seeing. The details etched themselves into me regardless. The careful arrangement, the soft pooling at the wrists and ankles, like he had slipped out of himself. I left Tokyo the next day. Home. Back in Europe, everything felt smaller, duller, and more artificial. The streets were familiar, but the people looked thinner, stretched out like their skins didn't fit quite right. I quit porn, or tried to, but my brain had been rewired, a mosaic of flickering thumbnails, autoplay loops, and clickbait depravity. I'd scroll for hours, watching nothing, hunting for something, but nothing was enough. I stopped going out, stopped talking to people. My phone became my companion, my window into worse and worse places. I started seeing ads I didn't remember clicking, private forums, invitation-only streams, live experiences, some with Japanese titles. A message arrived in my inbox, no sender, just a link. I clicked. The page loaded slowly, deliberately. A video player. Thumbnail. Capsule. Number 17. I hit play. It was him. The man from the cafe. Naked. Trembling. Kneeling on the mattress. A wet sound. Familiar sound. His skin split. Not cut. Opened. Voluntarily. Peeling from his back like a curtain drawn aside. And then... something stepped out. The man wasn't gone. He had just left himself behind. The thing that emerged turned toward the camera. It had his face, but it was smiling. The shedding. I stopped leaving my apartment, not out of fear, more like detachment. The world outside felt unreal, like a poorly rendered background in a game. The air smelled wrong. Sounds were muffled, like cotton stuffed into my ears. All I could think about was the video, that thing stepping out of itself, the freedom in its movements, the relief. The video disappeared after I watched it. Refreshing the link led to nothing, but the messages kept coming, at random hours of the night. No sender, no subject, just instructions. Stretch your skin, press your fingers beneath it. Feel the looseness, the way it peels so easily from the muscle beneath. I stopped resisting. I don't know why. Maybe I was already halfway gone. Maybe some part of me had always been waiting for this. I started pulling at the skin of my forearms and my stomach. It didn't hurt, not the way I expected. It felt natural, like loosening a collar that had been strangling me for years. My 28th birthday, and I am going to end it tomorrow. Hi, I am 28M and it's 12:25 a.m. I didn't got a single call. I have tickets for Coldplay concert for January 26th, my favorite band, and I don't want to attend it, because I have 3 extra tickets, but not even a single friend agreed to go to that concert with me. And I booked those in hope that someone will come. Seats are block B lower, W100 to W103. If you find all those seats empty, understand that I am gone. And it's not because I didn't want to attend that concert. I really wanted that. But not even one of my friends agreed. It's not about the concert only. I am a person who lives alone, and my family lives in a different town. I see people on their birthday getting tagged in shit ton of stories or posts, but no one ever tags me. I didn't even got a call from my family. I had a friend who used to call it at exactly 12, but today I didn't even get that call. I asked my office colleagues to celebrate my birthday with me, and I will sponsor liquors and cakes and everything. Yet they said they had planned for weekends. I hope I am not a terrible person. I think I am. But I always wished people on time. I never purposefully hurt anyone. But if I did, I am sorry. I never did that though. I think they did not like how I look. Maybe. I have vitiligo, and I am not that successful for my age because I am little underconfident. Is that why people hate me? I don't know why people hate me, cause if I am unsuccessful, I can be successful. But that's not it. Maybe they hate that I have vitiligo. Maybe that's the reason. But I didn't ask for it, I just got it. But can people just hate me just because I have vitiligo? I think so. I wouldn't hate anyone though. I love all kind of people, even the one who literally beaten the shit out of me when I was school because I got offended because they were making jokes on my skin condition. Maybe I shouldn't got offended at that time, and they were only having fun. I could have ignored them or maybe laughed with them. That might have resulted in a good friendship maybe. They might have wished me. I think I was always the problem. That's why not even my parents loves me as they love my brother. He's successful. He's abroad with his wife and a dog. They are amazing. They didn't wish me, though it's okay. It's still not over his office hours. He is 6 hours behind, so he might have forgotten, and it's okay, he's busy. But he was the only one who understood me. But then, when he got married and he got busy, and it's understandable. Hope he becomes more successful. Even last year, he forgot my birthday, because he had this big project he was working. My friend that always called me. He didn't call though. He said he was traveling. Might be that. I think people forget me because I am not that important. And that's fine. I don't add anything but only takes. I think I am terrible for not adding value in life of people. Maybe after that only people will call me on my birthday, but I think it's too late now. Because I think if I leave now, no one would be that hurt, as they already created distance from me, and they won't feel sad. I am a terrible person. And maybe that's why my ex got married to someone else. She took a right decision. Who wants a person who will always be vulnerable in front of them? Although I was strong when she told me that she's getting married in 3 weeks, and her roka is day after tomorrow. I didn't shed a single tear and didn't utter an emotional word. I just left saying, "Congratulations. Enjoy your life." She might thought I am heartless. Well, I was heartbroken, not heartless, but I can understand her POV. I think you can understand why I am a terrible person. And isn't it better to sleep forever not knowing what happened to you? I'm putting my extremely profoundly disabled 7-year-old into a residential facility so I can forget he exists. I'm not sorry. I can't tell anyone this, even my therapist. Lambast me if you want her, and maybe I even deserve it. I only ask what you would do if you were in my situation. Not what you think people should do, what you would really do. I'm a single mom of 2 boys, 12 and 7. My husband passed away 3 years ago in a work accident. A very large portion of me believe it was a suicide. I can't see him ever making the mistake he made that caused his death, and he had taken an action just before that which ensured his co-workers weren't in the room. I fully believe he killed himself because of our younger son, and no one will ever change my mind. We were told when I was pregnant that he would have Down's syndrome. We could handle that, even if it was severe. It turned out he has a chromosome deletion. His disorder is kind of rare, so I won't post which specific one, but suffice to say he'll never be anything more than he is now or has ever been. And what he is nothing. He doesn't appear to have any awareness, and never has. His eyes are locked in one position. He doesn't respond to noise, touch, or pain. He is total care. He is capable of nothing. He is tube-fed and on oxygen. He is in diapers and will be forever. He makes no sounds, no attempts to communicate. He never even really cried as a baby. He has never made an attempt to interact with anyone or his environment. I'm not upset because I got a special needs imperfect child. I feel the way I feel because this thing takes up 200% of my time and does nothing. I didn't get an imperfect child. I didn't get a child. I don't love him. He doesn't have any personality. There is nothing to love. And yet I'm responsible for him. In addition to his extreme delays, he's also medically fragile. Respiratory crises, fecal impactions, his autonomic nervous system doesn't function properly. Issues with his G-tube, infections, pressure sores no matter what we put him on or how we position him. Our older son has suffered because his non-existent brother has colored everything in his life. He's had medical care get delayed because there's only one of me and Hao's brother is more critical. We do have a visiting home nurse, but only 20 hours a week, and we aren't eligible for more. I was starting law school. I gave up my dreams and my plan for my children for this potato. My older son can't do a lot of things he wants to do because of the younger's need for care and appointments. The final straw was I heard a sound. I went into younger son's room to check, thinking he had forgotten how to breathe again, and saw older son hitting him and screaming, "You're why I don't have a mother. You're why I don't have a father. You're why I can't have friends over. You're why I can't be in sports. I didn't ask for you and I hope you die." Instead of being horrified, I watched. And younger son just did. Not react. No signs of pain or fear or upset. No reaction at all. He breathes, but he is not alive. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know who older son is. He has no sense of self, life experience, or awareness of his surroundings. He doesn't need to be in my home. He doesn't know or care where he is. He is genetically my son, but he is not family. My previously abused, brain-damaged cat who can't walk straight has more personality and is far more lovable than my child. In fact, I was looking forward to raising a Downs baby. Even one with severe impairments for that reason. With disability can come gifts. This boy is not a gift. He is a genetic mistake I probably should have miscarried, and would have definitely terminated if I'd known he would be like this. And the flip side is, if he has awareness, he's miserable. And there is nothing I can do. If he has likes and dislikes, no one knows what they are. If he is in pain, he can't tell anyone. If he wants anything, he can't communicate. He's had every imaginable therapy. Nothing has made a difference. And so he's leaving our home on the 29th. I feel excited and relieved and then guilty because I know we'll be happier with him gone. He's already taken my husband and my son's father. He was working so much overtime to pay for the cucumber's care. For the experimental therapies insurance wouldn't cover, because this one was going to be the breakthrough. He was tired and defeated and disappointed. He sought counseling as well, but I don't think he could ever say the words, "I don't want my son in my home either." He's ruined my older son. I was so wrapped up on the younger, I never realized how ignored and damaged he was. He lost his father too. I didn't just lose my husband. He is my priority now, and this malignant lump can be someone else's problem. At least they'll be paid a wage to care for him. At least they'll get a break from him when they punch out. I just want to never think of him again, and I'm not sorry. And for that, I'm sorry. Thanks for reading. I used to bully my disabled brother for years. Update. A lot of people were asking for an update, so here it is. I wrote up a long-ass apology letter that I wanted to read to my brother. I waited until he got home and got into bed for the night. I knocked on his door and he was so fucking excited that it was me. I couldn't even get through the first few words. I started crying after saying, I wanted to say I'm really sorry, and just couldn't get through it. I just got into bed with him and laid down next to him. He hugged me really tight and said, I missed you, buddy. I fucking lost it. I never cried that bad before. He just hugged me for a long time until I calmed down. We didn't talk much. He started crying for a bit too. It was the first time in a long time we just hugged. After half an hour, I got up and gave him a kiss and he told me he was so happy. Why didn't I do this earlier, fuck? I thought I could. I try apologizing properly again tomorrow. I left him the note to read anyway. I am feeling very hopeful right now, and a lot of pressure in my heart is gone. I swear to God, and on my own life, I will never treat my brother so badly again. I have been working part-time for the past year, and I was saving some money so my brother and my mom could go on a trip to a place he really wanted to go to. But I think I will take my brother myself instead, when I turn 18. I also realize that I need to have a relationship with my brother where I am not just taking care of him. It needs to be like a normal brother relationship, like going for movies and stuff. It's going to take some time for me to fix the mess I created, though. I'm just lucky my brother is amazing. I received a lot of messages. I appreciate everyone for their input, and I did read them all even if I didn't reply. Thanks, everyone. My actual post. Remorse. I know this will get a lot of hate, and yes, I deserve it. I am not looking for any validation or forgiveness. I know I am a piece of human trash. I just need to get this out. I have a brother who is 2 years older than me. He has suffered from a condition since birth that forces him to be in a wheelchair anytime he is out of bed. He cannot use his arms that well either. We used to have a great relationship until I turned 11, and I really started resenting the amount of attention he took from my parents, and how much stress he put them under. I had to constantly help him, change him, feed him. I hated it. There was a few years in his life when he's so mean to my parents, and it really made me resent him more. I realize now that I had no right to judge him, and I will never know how difficult life is for him. I stopped hanging out with him and made more friends at school. I would tell my family all the fun I was having at school during dinner to make him feel bad. I started barely talking to him or acknowledge his presence. He would get frustrated to the point of tears to get my attention. It started escalating 2 years ago when I would purposely turn off the Wi-Fi and unplug the TV every time we had to leave the house so my brother could do nothing but sit in his wheelchair. I would purposely delete his favorite saved shows on the DVR. I would make fun of his speech, push things just out of his reach. I would act disgusted when I had to change or bathe him. It always made him feel bad, and he would apologize. I made my own brother apologize for taking a dump. What the fuck is wrong with me? But my fucking saint of a brother never told my parents, and he never let me have it. 3 weeks ago, he was trying to talk to me non-stop, and I was just ignoring him. I got annoyed and wheeled him against his wishes to the backyard and placed him under an umbrella and went back inside. I fell asleep and realized I left him out there for 3 hours. When I went to bring him back inside, he was in tears and wouldn't look at me. He was humiliated. I have always felt guilty about how I treated my brother all these years, but my anger towards him overpowered it. But seeing that look on his face affected me in a way that was different from before. I stopped all the bullying after that day. I couldn't even look him in the face, I was so ashamed. Last Sunday, my brother told me he was glad I was his brother and friend. I couldn't even respond. I went to my room and cried. I'm fucking crying again typing this all out. When did I become an evil trash human being? Fuck. I'm 17 and he's 19 now. I know there is nothing I can do to make up for the past 6 years. My brother will be returning with my mom from a specialist appointment tonight. I'm going to apologize to him and beg for his forgiveness tonight. I want to start being a fucking decent brother to him again. I'm a healthy guy with no issues who chose to bully his only brother for something that wasn't even his fault. I am so ashamed of myself. Kidnap and kill Uber drivers. I have an urge to kill that always needs to be satisfied, and my technique is flawless. Haven't been caught. Not yet. The thrill is invigorating. It really is very simple. I identify a certain part of the country where I want to start. I find a random bystander. I ask them if they can order me an Uber as my phone is dead. They usually say yes. The Uber arrives and I get in the back seat. This is the part where I give them a really far location that is obsolete from any civilization. Most of them actually got nervous and jokingly asked if they were being kidnapped. I always changed my answer to test out what scared the shit out of them more. I had fun with that. When we do arrive, I usually kill them very slowly. I'd bring out my gun and order them to exit the car. I'd then give them a knife and tell them to stab themselves. I'd warn them that if they didn't, I'd torture and kill them. You'd be surprised how many people just surrender and actually do it. Humanity is hilarious. I'd then just dump the body and use their car to get out of that place. When I tell you it's perfect, it really is. I've done this 13 times now, and it has never failed me. The police, however, have picked up on this. They call me the Uber Terrorizer. They still have no leads, but they identified a pattern and alerted the public. Made my ritual harder, but the thrill has never been so intoxicating. It was time for me to kill again. I found some innocent-looking kid on the street and asked him to order me an Uber. He was reluctant, but I always knew how to look harmless, and he agreed. When the Uber arrived, I shared my drop-off point with him. It was an alligator swamp. Luckily, this idiot didn't get suspicious at all. When we got close to the location, he missed the exit. "You missed it," I said. "I know," he said as he abruptly stopped the car in the rural part of this town. "What are you doing?" "I'm gonna need you to get out of the car." "No, asshole." I pulled out my gun. He suddenly pushed the seat back into me very hard, causing me to drop my weapon. "My lucky stars! You must be the Uber Terrorizer," he said as he broke into laughter. "Who the fuck are you?" I said as I was being crushed under the seat. "I'll actually be doing this world a kindness for once. I like to call myself the Bahram." My courier. He got out his own gun, then he turned around and faced me. He shot all his ammo down into the seat. I think I got hit with all the bullets. I could see my own guts. "Terrorizer my ass," I faintly heard as everything went dark. My best friend just got brutally murdered. My phone began buzzing. The incoming video call was from Frankie's burner phone. My heart was palpitating rapidly, and a painful pit swelled up in my belly. The video feed lit up with a sinister ambiance as I answered, revealing a chilling scene. The screen was filled with hooded figures in an otherwise empty-looking room. In middle of said room, a figure was on its knees, with their hands tied behind their back. The room was dimly lit and dank. The surroundings appeared to be the basement of a warehouse or factory. Large water pipes scaled the walls from the ceiling to the floor. There was a low but constant hum of what I assumed to be machinery of some sort. One of the masked figures stepped forward, his gloved hands reaching to slowly remove the shroud of the kneeling person and revealed a terrified face. With a sudden and heart-wrenching gesture, Frankie's identity was revealed and I could see the fear etched into his eyes. Just then, Mr. Voss, the cold and ruthless figure, snatched Frankie's phone and glared back at me with contempt. He wasted no time taunting me, his voice laced with sadistic pleasure. "We have caught your rat, where he doesn't belong. How many of us have you executed? Dozens? More? It's my turn, and I'm going to show you exactly what it feels like to lose your best friend." Frankie's vulnerability mirrored that of the rusting pipes and the crumbling shambles of the room around him. Mr. Voss focused the phone back on Frankie before ordering one of his masked henchmen to deliver a brutal punch to Frankie's face. His cruel laugh then filled the room, chilling me to the core. Through the laughing, "Damn, that looked like it hurt," Malachi finished. Mr. Voss then asked the ominous question, if Frankie had any last words. With unyielding determination, Frankie raised his chin in defiance and locked eyes with me. Even through the phone's screen, I could feel his unwavering resolve. His voice echoed through the sparse room and carried a message of strength. "Phoenix, keep the mission alive. He who fears death is in denial," he proclaimed. "How noble, stupid, but noble," Malachi replied, before ordering his masked henchman to slowly withdraw something from just out of the camera's frame. It was revealed to be a sawed-off shotgun. I felt helpless, and panic surged through me, but I couldn't look away. In an agonizingly slow moment, the shotgun was aimed directly at Frankie's head. I didn't even get a chance to bargain with them, and before I could close my eyes, there was a deafening blast that erupted from the screen. The masked guy squeezed the trigger, and Frankie's head exploded like a watermelon. The gory sounds of the remnants that used to be Frankie's skull violently splattered to the ground. It was a tidal wave of blood, bone, and brain matter that scattered across the dirty concrete floor. Malachi, his sinister face filled with malevolence, turned the phone back to himself. A cruel smile played on his lips as he issued a final warning. "This is just a small taste of what we will do to you and everyone you love if you don't back off and stay out of our business. You have no idea what you're fucking with." With a sinister chuckle, Malachi ended the call, leaving me with the haunting aftermath of Frankie's gruesome demise. The lifeless phone slipped from my fingertips and dropped to the ground at my feet. My eyes instantly welled up and tears cascaded down my cheeks. I couldn't get that image out of my head, and how my oldest, greatest friend was now gone in the blink of an eye. I had to break it to Jennifer. Retelling what happened made me lose it all over again. Through my sniffling and tears, I went over the gruesome moment with as little details as possible. I had to protect her good memories of Frankie. I then broke the news to Veronica, and she was the only one who kept a brave face. She's always been so strong, and she cared for me while I grieved. As if watching everything unfold wasn't horrifying enough, a week later, I received an encrypted video file of Malachi directing his henchmen to dispose of Frankie's body. The mountain of a man lifted Frankie's body with relative ease and pushed it forcefully into a wood chipper. The scene surrounding them was a densely thick forest. The serene chirping of birds quickly became drowned out when Malachi flipped the switch and the machine whirred to life. The bloody remains spurted out the other side and into one of those lawn clipping collection bags. Mr. Voss next turned the wood chipper off, and its roar immediately died. The giant brute then grabbed at the lawn bag and carried it over to an industrial-sized drum. The image then focused down into the barrel, revealing a steaming, cloudy liquid. The camera panned down a little lower to reveal the contents of the barrel. Hydrofluoric acid. The unnamed bodyguard then poured the squelching pile of gore into the barrel. The shredded flesh sizzled and hissed as it hit the acid. Within seconds, every proof of Frankie's existence was completely dissolved into the caustic liquid. Malachi stared directly into the camera's lens and smirked. Just taking out the trash, he finished with a wink. This is the worst thing I've ever witnessed, but if there's any interest, I might provide an update once things cool off. My dad finished off my biological dad, and my mom doesn't know apologies for the title. My dad ended my biological dad. For context, I am adopted at birth, and I consider the people that raised me my real parents. I will also some details for obvious reasons, as this is a throwaway. Also, some details may be confused as this was a drunken confession by my father after a long night and family problems. But I know him and the broad details are true. The more exact might be a bit off. Also, he told me this about 6 years ago. This happened in the early 2000s, so my parents had been trying to have a kid for almost a decade. After multiple miscarriages and heartache, my parents couldn't have kids anymore. My father came home after work in the hospital to find my mother laying in a blood-covered bed. After a quick drive back to the hospital, they found she had a miscarriage and ruptured an artery. They could save her, but she would never be able to have kids. So after a good recovery, my parents decided since we can't have kids, let's just party and have fun. They went on a cruise, bought a Corvette, the whole 9 yards. Well, my mother worked a gov job, that's all you need to know. And when they got back from the cruise, a colleague of hers asked if she was still interested in having a kid. She said yes, but why? And the colleague told her there is a kid that will be born shortly, and the father has had multiple warrants and the mother can't raise the kid. They were druggies, and both had a lengthy rap sheet. So she talked to my dad, and they agreed they would adopt me. A few weeks go by, and the proper paperwork had been done, and I was born. My parents were there the day I was born. When I was born, one of the nurses who knew I was an adoption baby told my parents to take me and run as soon as they could because I was a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. I guess that was a big deal back then. IDK. So that's what they did. As soon as they could, they brought me home. Well, bio parents have 3 months to change their mind from giving away their child. It had been 2.5 months from when my parents got me and they couldn't have been happier. But my dad receives a phone call one day from my bio dad. Bio dad wanted me back and told my dad he was going to get me back and to meet him somewhere and sign some paperwork and hand me over, something along those lines. So my dad goes, "Okay, meet me here at some place, near a lake." My dad never told my mom about this either. He said he had never seen her this happy and would do anything to keep her happy. So my dad and bio dad meet one night at some place. My dad never gave me more details than that, but the last thing he said before he ended the conversation was, "We never heard from her, my bio mom, again, and he's probably still at the bottom of the lake." I could tell by the look on his face he meant it. Now please keep in mind that neither moms were involved. My mom don't know about this, and IDK what my bio mom thinks, knows. My dad and I have never talked about it since, and that's all I know.